Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to Coffee and Headlines, our morning get together live here on Facebook, where we take a look at headlines from our city, from our state, and our country. We pick up the ones that seem interesting or relevant to our daily lives here in Puerto Vallarta as a community of English speaking locals, and we add to them all the knowledge that we get from you through your questions, your comments, your ideas, your suggestions. And we try to combine it all just to be better connected to our city, to Mexico's culture, to our way of life, and everything that makes us tick on a day-to-day basis. Now, how is that for a brand new introduction that I just made up from scratch? Today is Tuesday, April 19, and as always, we've gathered a few headlines to share. As always, we welcome those of you who are joining us for the first time live and encourage you to let us know that you are new by writing the word new in your comments. We'll be so very happy to offer a nice little friendly welcome. We also encourage you to add a Q, capital letter Q, at the beginning of... I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I just spotted this. Lisa says the hat collection is growing back there. I'm afraid you are right, Lisa. I have been either acquiring or inheriting or otherwise being gifted hats lately. I don't know that I need many more, but yes, I need to find a better place to keep them. Anyhow, if you have something more important to say than talk about my hats, and you want to make sure that we mention it, please add a capital letter Q at the beginning of your comment. And also, last but not least, our friends in YouTube that don't get a chance to comment live because we're not live on YouTube. We still love you and we welcome you to our broadcasts, and we appreciate when you click on the thumbs up button and when you subscribe to the YouTube channel. It is always helpful. So, that's our big introduction for the day. The news and headlines that I have gathered for us today most of them can be put together or packaged under one major headline, which I would call food for thought, because the news have a lot to do with things that we frequently think we have very little to do with. And maybe we don't, but maybe we do. What am I talking about? Well, let us dive into the news and you'll see what I mean. And I'll let you know which ones I think are food for thought and which ones are not. Well, I suppose, come to think of it, everything is food for thought, and why not? But this first one is just a clarification of something we said yesterday, so It wasn't 100% occupancy as reported yesterday. Now that authorities have had a chance to look at their numbers more closely, we've learned that the average hotel occupancy in town during Semana Santa was 92.57%, not 100%. But if you ask me, 92.57% is quite awesome for a city that derives a considerable amount of revenue through tourism. Ludwig Estrada, director of municipal tourism, also indicated that the number of tourists increased from last year, but many stay with relatives or friends or through one of the properties available through platforms such as Airbnb. And where is the food for thought element here? Well, we frequently talk about Puerto Vallarta as being a big tourism destination, and sometimes I wonder, just because I do, what percentage of the city's revenue is actually coming from tourism and what percentage comes from other sources. Only because I'm curious about that. Remember how a few months ago or a few weeks ago, I don't even remember, when we asked just how important do you think Puerto Vallarta is as a tourism revenue generator for the state of Jalisco? And we found that we thought it was a bigger deal than it is. So it is something that I'm curious about because we are quick to defend our city as a tourism destination, but I wonder what else makes the city tick when it comes to creating revenue for itself. Moving right along. So what do we have? Yes, no, some disappointing news. As we know, some tourists are bound to behave badly, and many behave beautifully, but some are bound to behave badly. And sadly, someone or some people managed to leave graffiti tags in the Los Arcos amphitheater this past weekend, despite the vigilance that supposedly takes place in that part of town 24 hours a day, they say. So this is just sad. I don't know if there's much we can do about that, but hopefully authorities will find a way to clean that up as quickly as possible, as it does leave a bad image. Moving right along, how much trash do tourists generate? I don't know if you wonder about this. I personally don't. But now we have a news item that answers not only that, but also how much trash is collected in Puerto Vallarta on a regular basis. According to authorities from Puerto Vallarta's Public Works Department, in the week of April 10 to 17, 4,624 tons of trash were collected through the city. So that's a shitload of trash, no pun intended, but you're probably thinking, well, how much of that was tourism and how much of that is the regular collection? Well, we have an answer for that. 4,376 tons correspond to the usual or average or regular trash collection. So this means that our tourists generated this past week 248 tons of trash. And that is a ton of trash, no pun intended. And I thought you would want to know. We also spotted another report. This is another food for thought. Another report concerning the homeless, this one referring specifically to the spot on Constitucion Street in Emiliano Carranza, right under the new suspended bridge to access the Isla Rio Cuale, where apparently 8 men and 7 women have decided to take residence, spend their days and night, generating trash, foul smells, and an overall unpleasant image. One way or another, these types of reports are bound to reach authorities, and hopefully action will be taken to find ways to assist and relocate these individuals. And speaking of relocation, but in a completely different context, this is a big food for thought. This editorial that I'm showing you here makes a comparison between the type of colonia or neighborhood Emiliano Zapata used to be, one with plenty of local charm, and the type of Colonia Versalles is bound to become eventually. Some 5 years ago, Emiliano Zapata began a crazy gentrification project along with a severe modification of the urban landscape with an uncontrolled development of condominium towers and businesses And all of this has resulted in drainage problems, insufficient garbage collection, an excessive amount of ambulant business, and homelessness. And past municipal administrations have allowed this to happen in complicity with greedy developers interested in the needs of the few and not of the community. And guess what? It is happening in Versalles. It is happening in Versalles now, and to some extent, it is also happening in Colonia Cinco de Diciembre. And it will continue to happen until or unless municipal authorities stop being so complacent. And this is the gist of the article, not necessarily my gist, and I just thought that you'd want to know. One more item before we turn over to the weather. This one has to do with the way the use of face masks in general has become laxer in recent weeks, and particularly indoors. It is worth mentioning that the states, and I mean not the United States, the state of Jalisco's health department has not made any changes in the mandates, and face mask use indoors is still mandatory, and as it was last month. It is also worth mentioning that face mask use outdoors is also still mandatory, and that health authorities are not expected to make any changes to the mandates until later this month or early May. But we also learned that the United States apparently has just banned face masks from airplane travel, and so many of you that come from the United States love to come to Puerto Vallarta, and a considerable number of you also think that just because the United States makes a decision, that's exactly the way it is to be followed in the rest of the world, which is not the case. So I'm just wondering, where are you at when it comes to face mask use in Puerto Vallarta? And I do mean Puerto Vallarta specifically, and nowadays, not in your last trip 8 months ago, as I realize that other places in the world are subject to different mandates. How do you feel about face mask use in Puerto Vallarta as a Puerto Vallarta resident? Feel free to comment on this, and let me know what your thoughts are. Personally, I can tell you that I continue to wear my face mask wherever I go. If I am outdoors and I don't see people around me, I will remove the face mask just for better breathing. But if I see people coming in my direction, I always put my face mask up for my protection and theirs. And when it comes to using them in private places or indoors, well, we're guests and visitors in most indoor places that we frequent, so we might as well abide by the guidelines or mandates that are in place in such indoor places. So that's the food for thought. What do you think of all this? Do you have any comments about condo development? Are you feeling guilty or aware of the fact that you just closed on your fabulous deal in Emiliano Zapata and you're probably part of the problem and not the solution? Tell me how you're thinking and what you're thinking about this, the face masks, and anything that is on your mind. But first, let us take a look at the weather. If your lawyer doesn't run low production quality ads on TV just like Saul Goodman, you're paying too much for legal services. Which means that you are paying too much for legal services, which means that you are breaking bad. See, I'm not good at making puns like Raymond is. I just don't know how to do it. But I can read the weather. That I can do. And I can tell, oh, Dios mío, 25 degrees right now. Humidity, 72%. Welcome back to the schwitzy days of Puerto Vallarta. Our temperature for Fahrenheit devotees is 76 degrees. And our weather forecast for today is humid through the day with a high temperature of 30 and a low temperature of 20. Tomorrow, Wednesday, is going to be a clear day, high temperature of 30, low temperature of 19. Thursday is going to be a clear day with a high temperature of 31, a low temperature of 18. And that's what we have to deal with for the next few days. I have a couple other headlines that I wish to share with you before we dive into your comments. The first one has to do with tarot cards. How much do you know about tarot cards and their significance. I don't know much about it, but if you, like myself, don't know much about it and you're looking to learn more about tarot cards, this might be an interesting gathering for you this Friday at 1 p.m. at the Living Room Bookstore and Cafe, where Susan Amani will be offering an introduction to the cards and their meaning. Susan has been a tarot reader for over 40 years. She brings ancient wisdom and real world practicality to the art of tarot reading. And I had the pleasure of meeting Susan early on when we started Coffee and Headlines. She is a lovely lady and somebody that I would definitely be interested in hearing more from when it comes to tarot cards. And as always, we will leave information about this gathering or lecture in the show notes. And finally, um, let's say that you are a flower lover. And what I mean by that is not so much keeping flowers in your house, but if you've seen those gorgeous photographs of flower fields, where are they in Mexico? Well, this article shows us two, no, not two, four destinations that you may want to add to your Mexico bucket list if you happen to love flowers in the wild. It is springtime, and if you've wondered where some of the beautiful flowers you can purchase at any flower shop in town are grown, here are four choices. For example, if you like your mums and your daisies, you may want to head to the state of Mexico, and particularly a town called Villa Guerrero. That's where these flowers come from. And then, if what you enjoy are sunflowers, then what you want to do is you want to head to the town of Balancan in the state of Tabasco, where one of the largest sanctuaries of this beautiful flower are located. And according to the article, it is only open to the public for 15 days in the month of March. So maybe this will be good for your bucket list next year. If tulips are your thing, then you want to head to the town of Atlixco in the state of Puebla, where you will find over 35 varieties in 15 different colors. And lastly, you don't have to go all the way to Europe to be surrounded by gorgeous purple lavender fields. Simply head over to Mineral de Pozos in the state of Guanajuato, and that's where you will find a gorgeous place where you can check out these beautiful flower fields. And I will add a couple of 2 cents about Mineral de Pozos. Of these towns that we've mentioned, I'm only familiar with Mineral de Pozos. If you live in San Miguel de Allende, or you are planning a trip to San Miguel de Allende, a 35-minute drive to Mineral de Pozos is totally worthwhile. It is a gorgeous ghost town, similarly in a similar fashion than we considered San Sebastián del Oeste as a ghost town, because it was a mining town. It was very prosperous at the beginning of last century. Then everybody left, and it has stayed pretty much the same. A similar situation has taken place in Mineral de Pozos, where now you can find beautiful, a beautiful town that has been preserved in time. Mineral de Pozos also happens to be, weirdly enough, the one town in Mexico where the largest concentration of ethnic musical instruments are manufactured. And that's where the lavenders are. So I have never seen lavenders in Mineral de Pozos. Maybe it was the wrong time of year to go, but I can certainly vouch for this beautiful little town if you want to add it to your Mexico bucket list. And this is the end of what I have. I see that you have been commenting fast and furious about the topics that we've discussed. Oh, a nice hello from Gina. It's so good to see you, Gina. I'm going through Whiskey Kitchen withdrawal. I'm comforted over the fact that I know that I'll have a gathering with friends on Friday at Whiskey Kitchen, but I just don't know that I can make it until then. Let's see who else is here. We have Rod in Bucerias and Albert in Woodland Hills, and Sue is in Fluvial, and Sheila is in Vancouver. You guys are all over the place and here. Dan is here, and I want to thank Dan for gifting me a hat. Yes, no, over there. That orangey, beautiful new hat is a gift that I received from my friend Dan, who found the hat too large for his head. It fit me beautifully. I offered to buy it. He said no way. So I'm still learning how to accept gifts from my friends. Thank you very much. Let's see what else we have. Do 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 do. Bill, now we start the countdown to when we will be back in PV. Well, I hope it is soon. That's for sure. And Doug is on the way out. Why do you all have to leave if it's so beautiful here? Let's see what else. I've been called a turkey, but now I'm being called a pavo, which is turkey. I love it. Um, I love it. Better to be called pavo than taco, that's for sure. And gotta love those spell checkers when they do things on their own. Let's see what else we have. Lots of good mornings, more hats. Yes, more hats. More good mornings. Ramona says, I have enjoyed 6 beautiful months here. We'll be going back to some snow, yucky, but I am taking back love, warmth from this great country. Not goodbye. See you back in October. Hopefully, your stay away will make you itch to come back. Christy sent me a video that I haven't had a chance to check out. I hope it's a video of beautiful squirrels that she is looking after. I will be looking at it today, Christy, and hopefully I'll be sharing it with you all tomorrow. Oh, and Christy is, of course, watching as she feeds little squirrel babies. I love it. Carol asks, is the post office open up there? Oh, that must be up there somewhere else. So I don't know what that is. I'm going to disregard. Cindy adds a Q. My husband and I are locals and love your show, but we were away in Europe during your meet and greet. When is your next one? We would love to buy you a drink and thank you in person. Well, I have news for you, Cindy. Number one, when is the next meet and greet? I checked with some close friends and cluster members, people that I trust, and we talked about this briefly the other day. And we figured having a meet and greet every quarter is probably more than enough, because ultimately everybody can, we're all, adults, and we can organize our own meet and greets if we want. But the next official Coffee and Headlines meet and greet will probably take place around the month of July, which happens to be my birthday month. Yes. So I think it will be in July that we will do it next. We would love to buy you a drink and thank you in person. That would be lovely. I look forward to meeting you. Not so much, you don't need to feel obliged to buy me a drink. However, you can always buy me some coffee, as everybody else can. And again, that's the general intention, to do something during the month of July. And we already have a location in mind, and I will give you more information as it becomes available. And of course, as we get closer to July. Do you think we should be meeting sooner or more frequently? Let me know in the comments, and we'll get to that in a second. So sad that people can't be bothered to put trash in the right place. And Karen agrees. Well, I hear you. It's one of those things that, we can only take care of ourselves, and we can follow our own ethics code and habits and whatever. So what can I tell you? Oh, there's a whole conversation going on with about post office, but it has something to do with elsewhere. Jim regrets it won't be long until Bucerias will be an extension of Nuevo. So sad. Then comments, we've been watching those condos on Francia in Versailles being built since last year that just keep getting bigger and bigger. Yes, this is unfortunate. I think there's a lot of vigilance in this particular government administration, or at least a lot more than there used to be. And I suppose people are being more vigilant. I suppose that's what I'm trying to say. But buildings keep coming up, and that is what it is. Let's see. Javier uses face masks inside and outdoors, except when home with no visitors. We're of the same team. Paco, they did not actually ban the use of masks in the States. They dropped the requirement. I understand and I stand corrected. Again, I mentioned that as a point of reference. Personally, for better or worse, I'm not so much concerned about guidelines for other places, but very much concerned about how the difference in guidelines affects our livelihood as English speaking locals. Um, Meggie, as in Peggy, doesn't care about mandates, still double masking in public. Good for you. Um, Still wearing it every day, everywhere, indoors and out. Okay. Until COVID is controlled and there are no new and continuing variants, we will continue to wear the masks in public. I think we're all basically on the same wavelength, which is comforting. Um, yes, we all seem to be in the same wavelength. Another um, accuracy comment. Masks aren't banned. My partner was on a flight today in the US and said he was one of only a few wearing a mask, including crew. Um, ¿Qué onda, Paco? Hola, Cluster. As far as face mask, I follow the mandates in force where I am. When we were in PV, we were pretty much in the minority. Yes, I noticed that as well, but I continue to feel comfortable wearing my mask. Uh, Dead comments. I can't control what other people do, just what I do. I know what to do to stay safe and what the rules in Mexico are, so I follow them. It isn't that difficult. Well, again, I think we're all in a similar wavelength, and it is just unfortunate when Puerto Vallarta welcomes people from other places, whether they are other countries or other parts of Mexico, and people that come here think that they have to pay no mind to the local mandates, and that is just unfortunate. Um, Javier ventures his opinion on tarot cards. And again, it's good to have an opinion, but as far as coffee and headlines is concerned, it's good to let people develop their own opinions on their own. And as you say, whatever floats your boat. Let's see what else. There's another Q. What should I absolutely see in PV? This will be my first time there. I'll have 10 days. Paul, welcome to Puerto Vallarta. I would be so very happy to dive into your question, but you will find much better answers to your question in forums that are put together for tourists. We are a forum that concerns itself with locals living the daily life. So I don't mean to dismiss your remark, but there are so many places that will give you better answers than we can. That said, I will tell you, Puerto Vallarta is a lovely dining destination where you will find restaurants for every taste and every budget. So eat your way through the city. Walk everywhere and take in as much as you can. And if you're staying in one of the English sheltered neighborhoods, my wish for you is that you'll get out of there as much as you can. Let's see what else we have. Boom, ba-dee, bam, bam. Birthday party for Paco. Well, there's something like that brewing, Dave. There's a new person. Hi, Nicole. I am new to the cluster and have been thoroughly enjoying coffee and headlines. Cheers from Kelowna, BC, Canada. We can't wait to visit PV again this coming winter. Thank you for the big hello. And I'm so glad that you are part of our community. Hopefully you will find answers here. Let's see. Hopefully the June meet and greet will be someplace air conditioned. Okay. Duly noted. Let's see what else. I think we are pretty much at the end of the comments today, which brings us to the end of today's broadcast. Yay! A lot to think about, because a lot of times we seem to think that we are unable to change things. And I know that many of you are under the impression that being foreigners, you cannot have a lot of say in the way things are done here. but you'd be surprised. Yes, there are some laws that prevent people of foreign extraction from participating in certain types of activities, but there are many, many ways to get involved in the community that you happen to be a part of to inspire positive change. Whether we choose to or not is entirely a personal decision. And this is our broadcast for today. If you were inspired, enlightened, amused, or otherwise we made you think about stuff, that's what we're here for. That's what you're here for as well, to keep us financed and properly set up. Remember, Coffee and Headlines happens because of you. You make it happen, and we are very grateful for that. So stay kind, stay happy, stay healthy, stay mindful, and I hopefully will see you again tomorrow. Have a great day.